smaller craft to something the size of a football field or bigger, all the way down to, something that's maybe like 80 feet with windows. I don't know, but it's scary when you think about it.
Yeah, and I'll go one further. She was 6 and 4, she described what actually could be a hand-sized drone, alien drone that came in and scanned the room, maybe.
Yeah, and scanned her, actually, for maybe abduction. Anyway, we're going to go on break for about 2 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to have Ryan on talking about UFO reports. So, hey, we're not over yet. We got another half an hour. Tell your friends about Night Dreams Talk Radio. Share us on your media. We would love to have more listeners. And remember, you're part of our family. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you. Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show.
And again, I want to thank each one of you guys out there making a long haul at night and, recording our show during the day or downloading and playing it while you're on the road. Without you, we wouldn't be where we're at. And you know what? You're part of the family on Night Dreams Talk Radio. As you know, we rule the early night on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Well, we're just waiting for Ryan to call in and give us a report on, UFOs, sightings, and stuff like that. My cell phone just died. Can you believe that? Right there in front of me. Second time in a day. And also, we're waiting to see if James Chrisbaum's Skype is going to drop out here in a couple minutes because it's been doing it now day after day. I don't know what it is. And today, earlier today, I went on my computers, check everything out for the show. And then, like a few minutes before airtime, James tries to get a hold of me, and I realize I can't get on Skype. Every 3 computers, separate computers, have a different Skype account. Every one of them lost the password. Isn't that kind of strange? It's like something is going on out there. Maybe because we've been talking about aliens so much the past week or the last few weeks or abductions. that maybe somebody doesn't want us to talk about it. I think we got Ryan on there. Hey, Ryan, my friend, how is it going? How is it cracking, my friend?
It's going all right. How about yourself?
It is going. That's more than I can say than it's going to be in about a half an hour when I'm off the air. I'm going to crash like you wouldn't believe.
Same here.
Well, what is going on reports of UFOs and sightings and all this stuff, Ryan?
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to keep it simple. This is my first time here doing this week. And for New Fork, we have on 10:30, this was seen in Mexico, Missouri, and it had a circle shape, came out of nowhere, hovered over the car, and then it landed in a field next to them. And then it came back up, it hovered there for a second, and it had several flashing lights on it, and then all of a sudden it took off in a very bright blink of light. And that was on October 30th. The next one here we got from Lockport, Illinois, and this happened at 8:50 at night. It lasted, first sighting lasted for 10 seconds out of the east, 2 yellow lights chasing each other across the sky. 10 minutes later, they said 20 similar lights flying in a perfect V formation, headed south, and they were traveling so fast that I guess they really couldn't estimate the, speed of them. We have on at 11:35 in Lawrence, Kansas, a chevron shape, and this one here reminds me of one I had, actually. It's almost the same exact thing. They saw a chevron shape, a black triangle flying over them. It hovered over the house, and then it went back, and then I guess whenever it came back, it was going so fast it almost, it was making a roaring sound in the sky. And I actually had a similar one to this back in 2016. I was feeding my daughter a bottle outside, and all of a sudden I looked up, and there was a black, solid chevron-shaped, I don't know what it was. All I know is it was black, and it was huge, and it was putting the jet behind it to shame. But our next one here, we got in Jasper, Tennessee. Got a triangle shape and lasted 30 seconds. On the way towards, they saw it hovering. Another triangle, and this one was above the trees in a field, and they said it was about, 35 feet off the ground. It had no sound, and it had 1 to 2 green lights flashing on it, and it also had an orange light flashing on it. I guess when they turned back around, it was completely gone. And our last one here for New Fork, I got New Carlton, Maryland. I apologize. Slowly flying grayish rectangle, flying object with, it says 2 orange lights at each end, and it looked like a rectangle. And at the other end, it had a green light. And whenever they looked back, for that one, it was slowly moving off. And I guess when they tried to get a picture of it, it went out of sight, and they couldn't. So
that's
what we have for that.
Have you noticed, Ryan, that, normally for all the years I've been involved doing the paranormal radio and stuff like that, I've always noticed that around September, the UFO sightings kind of like drop off for like about 4 or 5 months. This year, it hasn't been dropping off, or at least is that my imagination?
No, you're exactly right. Matter of fact, October, I've seen a bunch of sightings being reported. And, you're right. It's usually not like that. Usually in the summer, I see June, July, tails off a little bit towards August. And then September rolls around, you're right, and there's not too many there.
Yeah, something is going on. That's all I can say is. Now, I don't know if you listened to the show, but did you listen the other night when we had Terry Lovelace on?
Yes.
What was your feeling?
I did.
That was like his 3rd time being on, but he really kind of got into it a lot more on this last time. What did you think about his encounter, the UFO he saw, and, all that before he was abducted? The sounding minute, it was quiet and dead silent till it landed or near landed, and then it kind of made the sound of like a locomotive, engine, kind of a weird type of noise.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite accounts, to be honest with you. He wrote a great book, by the way. Obviously, it's Incident at Devil's Den. But the craft itself is just out of this world. Obviously, it is. But, to be that big is just unfathomable. I can't imagine getting on guess a plane or whatever, even and looking all the way to the other side of it, and still, I mean, you're seeing the very end of it. But he said it was so flat you could see all the way to the other end. I mean, and he said it was a couple of stories high. That to myself is so mind blowing. I mean, I couldn't even picture that in the sky, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what was interesting. And what really got me scared is when he, was being examined, he was standing there naked with his friend holding his clothes. He saw these other people, men, women, and children holding their clothes. And what really alarmed him is the screaming of people in pain. He was very lucky. He was returned, but it's the way it sounded like these other people weren't returned. And then also these, like, James, am I right or wrong? There was like jars or big tubes of like humanoid or tanks of things.
Tanks,
yeah, in them. That's scary there too.
Yeah, and remember he said when he walked by one of them, the eyes, whatever it was in there, hybrid or whatever it was, opened and looked at him. He said that sent chills down to his spine. He still has nightmares about that.
I don't blame him for
it
packing
suddenly
a gun.
opened its eyes and turned its head at him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, any more good reports? I just had to throw that in there because I tell you what, it really scared me quite a bit, Brian, that night after he was on the last time.
Yeah, I actually wanted to just mention something else about his account too. Is whenever they got back, I mean, just alone the sunburn and the swollen eyes, that right there is enough to, make you scratch your head, especially when he had, sunburn in his armpits and everything else. Well, I guess you want to call it sunburn, that to me tells me they went up in that beam they saw in that field for sure. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Well, at nighttime, I don't see any way he could have got sunburned, and unless you're laying at a weird angle, even your armpits to be badly burned. Again, too, is that the military must have took it very seriously to give him sodium pentothal and then try to convince him that he didn't see anything.
Yeah, I think the part that blows my mind about that the most is, one of those, the other guy turns out the other one says, I'm amazed every time I see this happen. That right there, I mean, how many times has he seen this happen? You know what I mean? That's the part that's scary right there.
Well,
is he,
how many times it happens? How many times people are being abducted and not returned? That's the scary part.
Exactly.
Well, what do we got also? Because we got like about 12 minutes left. What do we got in other sightings that might intrigue our listeners here tonight on a Friday?
Oh,
I got sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you too, Ryan. The Project Blue Book supposedly is letting out documents that you can check out their, some of the stuff that they researched. Have you heard about that?
I did hear about it. I didn't get a chance to check into it. I mean, they did one of my favorite sightings, the Flatwoods Monster. But I'm hoping they release a little bit more information on that. That would be fantastic. But no, I haven't gotten a chance to look into that yet.
Now, are we talking the TV show, Project Blue Book?
No, the real
Blue Book. I'll be honest with you. And we just lost James again at 9:42. You know what, Ryan? It's going every night about 9:40. His Skype drops out, and we're trying to figure out why. It's kind of crazy. But you know what? Talking to some people I knew who was in the military and knew about Project Blue Book, it was really biased. They wanted to basically take reports, from people and convince them basically they didn't see anything.
Exactly. That's the sad part of it, too, that most of those, you can't explain away.
No. But they wanted to. They wanted the people, when they got done interviewing the people, they wanted the people confused and kind of convinced that they didn't really see something. And I think that's, that was disinformation, Project Blue Book. They weren't really taking anything serious, or if they were trying to, give disinformation. James, you did it again at 9:42.
just like clockwork. I am telling you, that's bizarre. Oh, there's another story that came in about a